and happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Pitch Drive Chronicles. This is Uncle Tad's, Donald, and Rubino, and these three amigos have a plethora of things to discuss today. And the first one that really we have to get to is this whole issue with Giancarlo Stanton. And I want to give a credit to Donald and Rob, where Donald threw out a quick short the other day. Rob is on the go, ready to put it up. So thank you to you guys for picking up the ball while I was at work. So look, this machine, we keep going no matter who's available. But who we are available to is everybody that's hanging out with us in the chat. And make sure you just hit that like button. If you are new and you want to join the chat, just hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know exactly when we are doing shows. As the schedule, as we get into the spring, may kind of trickle a little bit differently till opening day when we get back to our regularly scheduled programs, as I run out of breath. But look, when you're thinking about this whole thing with Giancarlo Stanton, I was watching a clip from Boone this morning, saying how this is something where he was dealing with it at the end of the season last year. So this isn't something that developed in the off season, and we saw the postseason he had. So rather than just keep smacking the panic button, like you guys should be smacking the like button, I'm really not as concerned until really I have to. If he's not in the opening day lineup, then I will voice my concerns then.
He won't be.
But I don't know. I'm trying not.
He won't be in the opening day lineup.
You're that positive of that?
No, it's pretty much locked in.
See, because he can, I think right now I think they're just going to kind of tone him down a little bit, and he may not play as many spring training games, may not be involved in too many workouts, but if he was able to play through it, and we saw the postseason he had, I'm not as overly concerned as some other fans may be. Now, if I'm by myself on that boat, that's fine. But that's my opinion on it.
I mean, you might not be wrong that it might not be a big deal, but I think it's pretty much an unsaid certainty that he's not going to be in the opening day lineup. If you read between the lines, the tweets are coming out like his opening day status is uncertain. Big G saying, I don't know. Aaron Boone saying, I don't know. I think we'll take our time with this one. I was listening to Talking Yanks, and I think they kind of broke it down right. Is that what they're basically going to do is they're going to open DH spot for Ben Rice and DJ LeMahieu and Goldschmidt for first couple of weeks going into maybe April. And then maybe by April, then you could start moving Stanton along a little bit. But they're going to take their time with Stanton. I think that's basically what's happening here. They're very much taking their time in it, and they'll just use the DH spot as an open spot. But don't expect him in the opening day lineup, Taz.
Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it seems that way, right? Because every time we talk about Stanton with injuries, it's never the initial thought. They always say, like, oh, it might not be too bad, but it ends up being pretty bad, and he misses a lot of time. He has said himself he hasn't swung a bat in like a month. So you figure that he has to start swinging a bat first, then to get him in game action. I mean, it's possible that he makes opening day, right? But do you want to rush it? We need him for October. We need Giancarlo for October. If we have to survive a month without Stanton, which is what we do every year anyway, a month plus, I guess you'd rather it be in April and into May than have it be in August, September, and possibly October. So if there's any silver lining there, it's happening now. But my biggest concern about it is they knew about it, and they didn't do anything about it. That's where I'm, and I keep circling back to all the conversations we've already had several times. We talked about this last week. We said, God forbid we lose Stanton. Who's stepping up? We haven't even played a game yet. A single pitch has not been thrown in game action, and we're already having these conversations. Who's stepping up in the absence of Giancarlo Stanton? So I'm just a little bit mad that the front office didn't do anything about it to have a contingency plan in place. They already needed a bat to begin with, and now you kind of need two. So I hope that it's not anything crazy, but he's in pretty bad pain in both elbows. That doesn't sound like a guy that's going to be ready for opening day. And is it the end of the world? No, but we just have to kind of wait it out and see. Right now, it's still very, very early. It's February 19th, so we still got plenty of time. We still got well over a month till opening day. But if he has to miss opening day to make sure he's good to go by the middle of this, even by like June, let's say he has to miss 2 months, and we get him from June to the rest of the year, then you got to swallow that. It's a tough pill to swallow, but you got to swallow that pill and hope that a guy like Ben Rice or Dominic Smith can provide some pop from the left side of the plate. I don't like the options. I would prefer Rice, but it doesn't change the fact that they should have had a bat in place in case this happened, and now they definitely need to get somebody. And unfortunately for them, the options are just as limited, if not even more limited now than they were a week ago. So this is on the Yankees. They knew it. Brian Cashman said it before last season. It's a yearly thing with Stanton. He said it himself. And for the second straight year, they did not prepare for it. And it hit them right in the face day one of position players reporting already Stanton's got double elbow injury. And yeah, he suffered through it last year, and he was pretty damn good in October. But that's because you needed him in October. We kind of don't desperately need him in April, but you'd still rather have him. It's just a damn shame that they knew about this for an entire offseason and decided we're not going to add a bat.
There's something fishy going on, man. Because if you read between the lines, or even if you just listen to what Aaron Boone's saying, he knew about this in the playoffs. So this has been an injury since the playoffs. So this is not a surprise. It's not like it landed on them on the opening day of spring. They landed it on us on the opening day of spring. They've known about it since October. So I want to know what their rehab plan was. I want to know what their plan was for Stanton in the offseason. Since they've known about it, what exactly was the medical staff's recommendation? And I'm shocked that no one in the media even asked these questions. The media just went, oh, okay.
That's a good point.
I mean, they've known about it since October. Why have they waited until the very first day of spring training when, the market is almost shut, right, in terms of acquiring quality players? It's almost too late now. And we're over this self-imposed budget, but that's for another conversation. But it's almost like they've kind of soft launched it at us. They're just sort of like, oh, and by the way, you know what I'm saying? And you're like, well, you've kind of known about this since October. So what was your rehab plan for him? A, and B, was it just a case of rest for Stanton? What was that? Was that the medical recommendation? Was there surgery that was on the table and they passed it up? Like, I want to know what the medical recommendation was, considering Stan said he was in extreme pain all the way through October. Yeah, so I want to know about these things. It just feels really fishy to me. And what's doubly fishy is that the Yankees didn't have a plan B in the offseason. Now, this offseason, this offense isn't good enough even with Stanton. Without Stanton, it's not even close to being good enough. So, yeah, as Rob says, they're 2 bats away now as opposed to 1. And they've let some guys go. I mean, listen, I didn't really want Brandon Rogers, but Brandon Rogers has signed on a minor league deal, and he's going to give you like a 720 OPS and between 13 to 15 home runs. I mean, off the bench, that's not a bad option, 260 batting average. I mean, listen, it's getting desperate now. We don't have any depth, and you're staring at this third base situation, which is disgraceful for an organization the size of the Yankees, with the expectation of the Yankees, or with, I should say, the quote-unquote expectations of the Yankees. It's shocking that they're quite cool with this third base situation. But now they don't really have a backup to Stanton going down for a month. What is it going to be? Dominic Smith? You could big it up all you want, but that's not exactly a great option. I'm shocked that they haven't done anything in the offseason. I think it's malfeasance from the front office. I don't even think it is. I know it's malfeasance from the front office. If they've known since October that Stanton was at bare minimum lumbered with this injury, how did they not even think of a cheap alternative that could play off the bench and give you a little bit of pop? But they didn't do that. That they've just kind of waited and they've just kind of left it until the opening day of spring to land it on the fans. Just kind of like, oh, I know you guys are excited for the coming season, but oh, by the way, just there's something fishy going on. Vibes. Trust me, I don't like the vibes.
Yeah, no, there's definitely this does trickle to a very much an organizational issue, because even if they didn't want to disclose Stanton's injury to the public, to your point, Donald, then you're absolutely right. This is something that they should have addressed, because what's the one thing that we've been saying all offseason? The depth is more of an issue than the lineup. And I think that still holds true, even more so now. There were options they could have gotten and played it off as, just bench depth. A guy like Santander, his name came up in the chat, who can be your DH that's got the pop, hits a lot of home runs, not big on the on base percentage, but also can be a depth piece for the outfield or first base. So he could have been that bench play, like a Bellinger bench player.
A bench player? I mean, dude,
you have to squeeze him in every day.
That's why they didn't go after him, because he can't play the outfield, and he would have to either DH or play first, and he doesn't play first very well either. So they already had a DH in place, but let me say what's up to the chat here, because it's been about 12 minutes we haven't said hello to the chat. So good morning to everybody. Jonathan was here first, as he usually is. I don't even know why we got to keep saying his name, but John was here. FJ, we got 01 in the chat. Joe, we got Stevie B, FJ again, Stevie B, FJ again, the same usual suspects. We got Blaze, we got Pops, Cold Italian Pizza, Norman Soto, straight from the PR. We got Lou, Izzy, like number 11, get those likes up. We got Acevedo, we've got TC, we've got your cousin Nikki in here as well, and I'll give you 10 seconds.
On Nikki's comments here.
I do not care what the New York Mets do. There you go.
Yeah, what is this metric?
I have no idea. No clue.
Well, what the plan is to build up the area around Citi Field and kind of take over some of the properties that are run by, the quote unquote chop shops of the old days.
Right.
Where once you're outside the stadium area, you can't really park your car and expect it to be there when the game is over. So
that's hilarious.
They are trying to build that area up, and he wants to make kind of like he wants to expand it to a big sports complex. For a lot of users.
I think
if that's his plan, I'm all for it. I haven't really paid that much attention, Nick.
I have to be honest. I was very impressed with Citi Field.
Businesses.
I was very impressed with Citi Field when I went over in July to see the Foo Fighters. I thought it was a beautiful field. It's a very classy stadium, really nice food outlets, and it's really cool outside it as well. Kind of like a nice homage to like the old baseball. It's kind of cool. It is a very cool place. So no doubt Cohen will do something cool. I mean, Cohen's really setting the standard now for ownership, for what I would expect for an owner. He's a fan as well as a businessman, and he wants the best for his organization, unlike Hal Steinbrenner. So you know what? I give a lot of credit. Yeah, I give a lot of credit to Cohen. He wants to make the Mets a force, and Hal doesn't. So I give a lot of credit to Steve Cohen.
He wants to have another greatness, so we need more casinos. But yeah, let's get back to the Yankees here, because Stevie B bringing up a very good point. Let's just sign the Fantastic Four, Calhoun Boom for DH. That's what Dominic Smith is. Dommy Booms. I guarantee they're going to call him something like that. Aaron Boone's already talking him up. He's been a great hitter throughout his career. He's had one good season. Nicky could tell us he was a Met. So the guy's had one good season. We're going to talk him up already. This is why I'm concerned about Stanton, because you're hearing it from Jack Curry, like Dom Smith, Ben Rice. They're going to give Judge DH at bats, and that makes sense. Of course, make sure Judge is fresh throughout the year, but doesn't change the fact they should have added a bat anyway. Like we said the other day, had they gotten an Arenado or a Bregman, we could survive the loss of Stanton a lot easier. Had we added a bat like that. Well, now the Cardinals would be like, well, now you're coming back to us and you're a little more desperate because you really need a bat. We're not going to eat that much money anymore. I feel like even the opportunity to get Arenado was passed on. So think about the Nationals just signed Paul DeJong, who wouldn't have been at the top of our list, but $1 million with $600K in incentives. You couldn't have added 20 home runs to your lineup for $2 million. Like you mentioned, Brendan Rodgers. Who's left now? Like Justin Turner just went to the Cubs for about $6 million.
I would have taken him. Taken him.
You can't go with JD Martinez because he's just a DH. So when Stanton does come back, you have a logjam. So who's left? Jose Iglesias, maybe, because he can at least play defense at 3 different positions. He's a good hitter. He hit very well against lefties last year. That's like your only option now. Is Iglesias, or you got to force your trade for Arenado, and the Yankees don't want to add payroll like that. You got Joel Sherman suggesting Correa. Like, if they're not going to take Arenado, they're not going to take Correa. No. So the options were there. And Michael Kay all of a sudden has done a 180 on his stance. He's like, oh, now you got to go past the luxury tax. So you said that 2 weeks ago they shouldn't. And the opportunity to do that passed. So I don't know, man. I feel let down by the front office. I'm still very excited for the season. But to have this happen already, one day into full camp, and we're already worrying about the opening day lineup, it's just like, this all could have been avoided. All of these worries could have been avoided had you just been the Yankees and spent on one more piece. Like we kept saying, you're one piece away from this being a complete offseason. Cashman said, you can't have your full team in spring. Yes, you can. You're the Yankees. You said it yourself. You can get anybody you want. You could have had it, and you didn't do it. So I don't want to keep harping on the same things we've been complaining about all winter, but here we are. It's February 19th. We haven't even played a game yet, and we're already worrying about who's going to take over Stanton's spot, and the Yankees knew about it. Had this popped up, had they not known and been like, well, why were you keeping that a secret from us? Then you can maybe excuse them, like, well, we thought he was healthy. He didn't tell us. It'd still be an issue because he's not communicating, and they're not communicating with him, but at least they would have a defense. They'd have an alibi. It's like, he didn't tell us. But they knew, and they're just like, he'll be fine. And now, even then, you got DJ LeMahieu, who sounds unsure that he's like, I'm doing everything I can to be healthy for 8 months. I feel bad for the guy, I do, but he's unsure about his own health. He took time off this offseason just to try to get his body right. So now he's potentially your starter, or Cabrera, and he might DH, and then you got to hope that, I think Ben Rice would be the best option because of his lefty swing, but he can't hit lefties. So who's DHing against lefties? Do you go with Grisham or Pereira? Maybe Pereira makes the team and Judge can DH. There are options out there. It's just like, no, Spencer Jones isn't ready. He's not ready. We're not rushing Spencer Jones by any means. Let that kid get that strikeout rate down because he now, at this point, he might have to be ready by midseason, but he certainly ain't going to be ready by opening day. But it's unfortunate that everything that we've been kind of critiquing this front office about is rearing its ugly head, and we're not even a week into full camp. It's like maybe we do know something. Maybe we're not so stupid as people might think. We're just fans behind a computer screen. Well, we seem to know what we're talking about because every time we bring up these things, people go, "Oh, it won't be that big of a deal." Hello. Who's the DH now? We're missing 27 home runs and our best postseason performer in the lineup. Hopefully it's not too serious, but 2 badly injured elbows. There we go. 2 badly injured elbows. Doesn't sound promising for a guy who has to swing the bat as hard as Stanton does.
I mean, you listen to what DJ LeMahieu is saying. It doesn't sound confident, man. I mean, the way he talked, well, this is the first time I haven't swung a bat at all in like 2-3 months for the first time in my life. How is that considered a good thing? And then they're saying that, he said that, they've done some internal like measurements and they're saying that he's been more or less the same kind of player defensively. Didn't mention offensively. I don't think this is good. I don't think this is good at all. it doesn't sound promising. He sounds down about it. And I mean, I don't want to pile on the guy. He's been one of my favorite players, obviously, until he fell off a cliff and completely became cooked. But he sounds cooked. It sounds just the way he speaks. It sounds cooked. You don't even hear the Yankees bigging him up like this is the best DJ LeMahieu you've ever seen in your life, which they've done in the past. All complete lies, of course. But I would definitely have minimum expectations with DJ LeMahieu.
Yeah.
Listen, Brian Cashman wanted to DFA him until Aaron Judge stepped in the last minute and kept him. So it says everything that the Yankee front office isn't that high on DJ LeMahieu's upside right now. So for whatever reason, he's still on this roster, and he's got the first dibs at third base, is anyone's guess. So not a lot of confidence in DJ LeMahieu. So he's not swung a bat at all this past offseason. Big G hasn't swung a bat this entire offseason. Austin Wells hasn't swung a bat this offseason. And he says that he's not ready yet. I want to know what is going on with the Yankees medical staff. Is there something that they're not telling us? Is there some reason why these people are not swinging the bat? Well, we know about DJ, we know about Stanton, but why is Wells not swinging the bat? These kind of things. It's just all very odd, you know? And then you've got Grisham that just recovered from a hamstring injury. Mm-hmm. So we've already had a ton of injuries, and we've not even played a game yet of spring training.
And that's another thing is you bring up Wells. It's like that's another. Maybe you should have kept Trevino, right? Like maybe you should have had a real backup catcher in place. If Aaron Boone's saying because of his workload last year, we want to limit him to start the spring, just to ease him back into the role. Shouldn't you have gotten a backup? I know people don't like Trevino because of his arm and all that stuff, but he's far better of a backup option than J.C. Escara and Alex Jackson. I know Ben Rice could technically be the backup catcher here, but
you really haven't seen him there.
Right. When did the Yankees go with two lefty catchers? So that's why I don't think Escara is going to make it. It's either Alex Jackson or this Hernandez guy they brought in for a backup job for an invite. So there's another thing that goes to the offseason. Like you had pieces you needed to add, and there were pieces available. Like a James McCann even could potentially be an invite at this point. Why aren't you taking those measures just in case something goes wrong? Because Austin Wells is too important to this team. Big G is too important to this team. And you knew that you were going to limit one's workload and the other had an elbow injury. Two elbows he was dealing with, and you did nothing to have a contingency plan. I know it's difficult to have plan A, B, C, D, E all the way down to Z, but you didn't even seem to have a plan B for these guys. And that's a problem because you traded plan B for Wells. I get it because he was on the last year and you got Cruz back, but you never added a backup to your backup. And now
you've got 2023 vibes.
Exactly.
Getting 2023 vibes, man, with the lack of depth on this roster and them completely relying on a lot of like reclamation projects. And if there's even one or two injuries, which we're starting to see now, then now you're staring down at like Dominic Smith. And I'm already getting that Willie Calhoun thing vibes of, if he starts a little slow because he's Dominic Smith, Aaron Boone's going to be saying something like, well, he's just coming around the corner. He's going to, look at the back of his baseball card. He's going to turn it around really soon. Hot streak is coming. And I'm getting 2023 vibes. And what I wanted the Yankees to do was, after losing Soto, I wanted them to really think about the infrastructure of the organization, really focus on improving depth and really improving their analytics team and recruitment, getting better talent in the building. You know what I'm saying? That could be beneficial, and maybe changing some front office personnel, not Brian Cashman, but just, some front office personnel to maybe improve analytics, get another couple of coaches in there that can improve young players when they get up to the majors, something like that. I wanted to see some things like that. I think that was really important after losing such an important player. And I know that the fan base don't want to now delude themselves that Soto wasn't this massively important player, but he actually was, because he covered up a ton of holes. Right? He was a big part. Big part. I know it's not popular to say right now, but it's true. He was a big part of things last year. You take him out, he covered up like 3 or 4 bad positions last year by himself. Now he's gone. You don't have that. And now now we're still left with this organization which do things by smoke and mirrors. I mean, you have to use breadcrumbs to the gingerbread houses to get any idea of what's actually going on with this organization. How have they put themselves in this spot? And then you have to look at Hal's budget, and then you have to look at Brian Cashman's allocation of that budget. But to be honest, if you think about it, Cashman was actually kind of up against it from the start, and I don't really have too much blame for this guy. Because after Soto was gone, right, the Yankees' payroll was at about $233 million, right? Right? Now, it was clearly an unspoken rule that 301 was the maximum. That leaves about $60 million. 60-plus million, right? And that's actually not a lot. Not in modern-day baseball. That gets you like maybe one position player and one pitcher.
But that's what it got us.
And that's exactly what it got us. So I'm sorry, that's not a lot of money. And we had to rebuild a ton of areas, and we didn't do it. And that's why I really feel that Hal is the problem here rather than Brian Cashman. He's sunk this before we even got started. I was so excited about things. We got to January, I was like, we're a move away, we're a third baseman away.
Yep.
And instead, they just stopped. And now all we're hearing is budget. And I don't like what I'm hearing. That gives me major freaking gut. Like something in my gut is just telling me this is not right. This is really not right. So I don't want to be. I want to be excited for Friday. I've always been excited for the first day of spring, every year. But this is the first year I'm starting to really question what is going on, and I don't think it's good. And I don't think they should butter this up.
No, I think, and I'm seeing the name come up, in the chat with Arenado, and I want to get back. I want to circle around him for a second, because, like you said, with the whole thing with the budget, and they were trying to wait it out. I had said on my previous show with you guys, look, they're waiting for the price to drop, but it doesn't seem to be dropping, and it's who's going to go, who's going to bluff first and just kind of cave in. But now with this whole issue with Stanton, and we haven't even gotten to Grisham's hamstring, so there's another piece on your bench that's now weak. It's now the price for Arenado went up. Your negotiations went out the window. You waited too long. Yeah, welcome to my world, Donald. But now the Yankees waited too long for the price to drop, where now it went all the way back up to the top again, because now they sense your desperation. So you're not even just looking for a third baseman. Now you need somebody that's also going to be able to DH. So even if they were making the move for Arenado, whatever negotiations that any traction in negotiations that have already been developed are out the window. And now the Cardinals can say, all right, now you really need him. You got to take the contract.
The Cardinals are not. They know no one's going to actually take that full contract, and the Yankees know that as well. I think every team that was negotiating with the Cardinals, plus Arenado himself said he's not going to expand his list of teams, so it's 5 teams, and you got to assume if the Cubs are on there, they're out of it. The Dodgers are probably out of it. The Red Sox are out of it. I don't know who the other two. It might have been Yankees and another team, maybe Toronto, but whoever gets him, if they do end up trading him, the Cardinals are going to have to eat money. It's just they're probably going to eat. The Yankees probably wanted them to eat more, and the Cardinals said no. You got to give up more if that's the case. And now it's just like maybe they go back to the original $15 million they were going to eat to trade him to the Astros before he said no to them. That might have been the other team on his list. No, he said no to them. Why would he? Anyway, that's probably it. Maybe they eat $6 million a year, and that knocks him down to a $19 million player. Jack Curry last night said it's awkward with Stroman. They're going to have to trade him. They have to trade this guy. I feel bad. I said it the other day, and I'll reiterate it. I feel bad for Stroman. He did nothing wrong. blaming him like, oh, maybe he should take a page out of Starling Marte's book. Like, what did Marcus Stroman say wrong? He just said, I'm a starter. He shouldn't have to go to the bullpen. He signed for $18.5 million to be a starting pitcher. He's a starting pitcher. So he did nothing wrong, but it's got to be awkward for him, and he's being professional about it. He showed up when he was supposed to show up. He wasn't late to anything. It wasn't mandatory. So there was no problems there, and people are blaming him and already vilifying him, but they got to look to move him. So if you clear, let's say, $9 million of his money and you bring in Arenado for $19 a year, you're only adding like $10 million to your payroll. You're telling me the Yankees can't afford that? Even Michael Kay at this point is agreeing like, no, the Yankees can afford to go where they were last. They can afford to be where the Mets are. With the amount of money they bring in, the norm for them should be like 320 to 330. That should be the norm for them every single year. I know it's not ideal, but you're the Yankees, you can afford it. You're telling me you can't do that? And this way, you can use Ben Rice as a DH. You can put Pereira in the outfield and DH Judge against lefties if you need to. Arenado can hit. I know he's a league average bat at this point, but I would much rather a league average bat than 3 below average options right now in Cabrera, DJ, Peraza. And even Ben Rice, because last year, Ben Rice couldn't hit lefties, and once he hit that 3 home run game, he fell off a cliff. So I know the pop is there, but we got to see more before we go, that's the answer. It certainly isn't Dominic Smith, so yeah, again, it all circles back to Arenado, and it's just, at this point now, the Yankees are not going to get their wish. They're not going to get him at their price. They may have been able to like a week or so ago, but now with the Stanton news, the Cardinals are like, oh, no. It's our way or nothing. Or you don't get him, or we'll go call up Toronto or something, or maybe we'll see if he'll take a trade to Detroit. So the Yankees missed their chance to get him, and the chance to get him was right as the Red Sox signed Bregman. They should have been on the phone, been like, okay, what's it going to take? Let's make this work, and they didn't do it. So this self-imposed budget, I've been in defense of Hal, but man, if this really is him saying I don't want to go over 305 or 310 or whatever. You're limiting your GM to what he can do because look at the holes on your roster now. And it's not even a game day yet. We're still a couple of days away from the first game, and you've got major holes on the roster. You don't have a DH. You don't have a third baseman. You don't have a backup catcher. And you don't want to raise the budget just a little bit to add at least a league average bat with a phenomenal glove. And like it was mentioned earlier by Nikki, you slide Jazz is going to play second, Arenado at third. The offense will be better. The defense will be better. That goes to run prevention. You won't have to score as many runs in Stanton's absence if your defense and pitching is top-notch, which it will be. Ding! That's what the Yankees should be doing, and Hal is just kind of like, I don't want to. And that's what's bugging me. That's what's bugging me. It's like...
Yeah, exactly. But see, Spencer, here's the problem, man. This is exactly the opposite of Michael Kay's position 2-3 weeks ago. Michael Kay 2-3 weeks ago had a caller call up saying the Yankees really need to raise the budget a little bit in order to fill the holes. And Michael Kay went, why should he? That's what I heard him verbatim. He said that on the radio. Why should he? That's up to Brian Cashman to get under the 301. He shouldn't have to go over 301, right? That's exactly what Michael Kay said verbatim. Now, after clearly shit has hit the fan, right? Even though the Yankees will try and butter it up that it's not that serious, it is pretty serious. Now Michael Kay's sort of like, oh, actually, no, you probably should raise the budget. Well, how about have a consistent stance? Have a consistent stance. So we've never wavered on this. You know, to be honest, anyone with common sense in this situation would not waver in this situation. There's no point being 1 or 2 million over 301 because you're still going to pay a significant tax anyway. You might as well go up to 310, 315. What's the difference? You're going over it anyway. So do what it takes. Why leave yourself short? I think it's malfeasance otherwise. So I don't like that Michael Kay did that. You know, have a consistent stance, and I'm very disappointed with this situation. It's not. I don't think it's good.
Would it be fair to say that if the Yankees had won the World Series last year, not just gotten there and being pushed out with a gentleman's sweep, that if they did want to trim the budget a little bit, we'd be not okay with it, but just a little more patient with the process? Kind
No,
of like winning
because
the World Series might reset the mentality of some Yankee fans, where because it seems like everybody's kind of like there's always that saying the our biggest rivals are each other, as far as the fan base goes, because we never agree on anything. There's always different factions of fans that some are okay, some get some get attached to players that really aren't meant for the long term, and then they get all bent out of shape when we're done with them. It's some want to see the prospects, some want to see big free agency. I kind of think that if they won the World Series, it'd be a little bit more of an easy pill to swallow.
no one, because that would be getting worse if you're cutting the payroll. Look at the Dodgers; they added payroll and they won. The
Right.
goal should be to get better. That's exactly what they did in 09.
Right.
So it wouldn't help at all. If had they won the World Series and lost Juan Soto, we'd be like, well, how would we get back? Had they won the World Series and had the same offseason, we'd be saying, are they really going to be able to repeat? Yeah, we'd feel good that we're world champions, but the stance would be, well, now we just lost one of the main reasons we won the whole thing. How do we we're still the same conversations we're having now, we're still going to be having, instead of getting back to the World Series, is how do we win it again? How do we repeat? So I don't think it would have helped, especially
Although,
if
having said that, Hal Steinbrenner did actually lower the budget in 2010 after 2009. He actually lowered the budget, and it led to us with that Nick Johnson decision. But one thing it does do is it buys you time. Once you win a world championship, it does buy you a little bit of time. Whereas you don't have that time after you lose.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why I feel the most frustrated. I'll be honest, guys, had we won the World Series last year, and we'd be in this off-season situation, I don't think I would be as unhappy as I am after the way we lost the World Series, didn't play very well. Yet I've heard the kind of same narrative that everything's fine. I mean, you saw the way that Brian Cashman is bigging up Aaron Boone. That's fine. I mean, I don't want Aaron Boone fired, nothing like that. But, the way he's talking about him, and then he's like, we went on such a great run last year, and okay, we came up a little bit short. And I'm thinking that is not the words that the Yankees ever used in the past. If you come up short, they address why they came up short. Now it's sort of like putting it on the fans for being disappointed that we came up short. You know what I'm saying? It's like the way that they've changed this mentality is so frustrating for me as a fan. So I don't feel great about the way this is coming across. I just feel that the PR is a bigger deal now. So frankly, I think that the Yankees, if anything, after losing the World Series the way they did and then losing Soto, you would have thought that they would have gone in all guns blazing, but they kind of haven't. And that's what's kind of surprising to me. As for the Stroman situation, I actually put most of it on Hal Steinbrenner again for the real reason that the rest of the league knows, it's unspoken, that Marcus Stroman is the reason why the Yankees haven't added to their payroll, right? I mean, that's why it's held up negotiations, because why would any team in the league take on the majority of Stroman's salary knowing that it would help the Yankees, right? Hal has put that position on Brian Cashman because the Yankees now have no leverage in negotiations at all to go to that opposing general manager. They've got no leverage. The Yankees are up against it. They're multiple positions short now, all over the offense, and they lack depth. And they're going to these other teams going, hey, could you take on the majority of my guy's salary, which is stopping us from doing anything in the offseason? How would that negotiation really go? I mean, you'd have to be moronic. You would have to be L.I. Yankee King as a general manager for another team to take on the majority of Stroman's contract. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that is moronic. And Hal Steinbrenner's put them in that position to be moronic because no one's going to be stupid enough to take on the majority of Stroman's contract, right? Just look at what's already happened. Stroman is kind of verbally setting up camp going, dude, I'm a starter, right? And now the Yankees are up against it because they can't have a 6-man rotation unless someone gets hurt in the 5th man as their 5th man, then Stroman's not going to have a spot, right? So that is now just a glaring neon sign. Plus, Hal Steinbrenner's made it very clear that he's refusing to do anything whatsoever. So now the Yankees are really up against it. They haven't even signed minor league dudes for the offense right now. And probably a lot of it is because of Hal Steinbrenner. So Hal's screwed us with this Marcus Stroman thing. In no world should an $18 million contract completely shut the Yankee offseason down. In no world should that ever happen. But it's happened because of Hal Steinbrenner.
Yeah, and again, it's not. I just want to reiterate my point from earlier. It's nothing against Stroman. It's not his fault. He did nothing wrong. This is the Yankees' fault. There's no, like you said, there's zero reason that contract should be preventing the Yankees from going and getting Nolan Arenado or going and getting Bregman before he signed with the Red Sox. Maybe not for $40 million a year, but there was some deferrals in there. You could have lowered that hit, or you could have given him the 6-year deal he was seeking. I'm sure he would have went to the Yankees, but there's no reason that you should have been hamstrung for money when you made as much money as you did last year, and you're going to make even more money this year probably if you go back to, I'm sure the prices went up, and if you go back to the playoffs, which is what Lou is saying here, making the playoffs is their concern, they will make the playoffs, and that seems to be the case now. You didn't want to agree with it because I feel like Hal doesn't want to hear his name get drugged to the mud, but at this point, like, it just seems like all he ever says is it's a crapshoot, so anything can happen. The goal is to get there, and then anything can happen. Well, the goal should be to win the whole thing. You have enough firepower to get there. We know this, and I believe they have enough firepower to win the American League again, but you could be even better if you went and got another bat, and which is all we were asking for. How long were we saying? For 2 months, it was basically one more move, and this thing is done. Because I wasn't too concerned about the lefties. They ended up now they have 5 in camp. They added Zastrinski from the Cubs on a minor league deal. So they got 5 lefties in camp now. I was never concerned about it. It was just it seemed like they were taking a little too long, but now they got 5 of them. It was just get a third baseman and we're good. And you can fill in that DH spot if need be. Now you need to fill in 2 spots, and you got to hope Volpe's better. You got to hope Wells is better. You got to hope Dominguez is not terrible as a rookie. You got to hope Goldschmidt bounces back. You got to hope Bellinger has a better year than he did last year. You got to hope Judge is healthy. You got to hope Jazz can put up a good full season in the Bronx, which I think he will.
You got to hope Stanton's healthy.
Yeah, now you got to hope Stanton's healthy. So there's so much hope and what ifs now in the lineup that if all goes well, yeah, great, awesome. But there's so many things that have to go right, and there's so much that can and probably will go wrong in the course of a 162-game season. You should have prepared for that. The Dodgers did. The Mets did. I mean, the Mets aren't really sweating the Montas injury. I'm sure Nikki can tell us because they have some depth there in the rotation. But we lose one bat, and now it's just kind of like, well, you never addressed the major need at third base, so now we're a little panicky. So,
dude, they weren't even sweating the Pete Alonso situation.
Right.
Like, oh, all right. You know what? If you want to come back, I'm sure we can make some room for you. You know what I'm saying? That's a really legit bat. So, like, the Mets weren't even sweating Pete Alonso. Now the Yankees are sweating, like, freaking 6 positions in their offense, hoping for comeback years. I don't get it. There's something different with this mentality. It ain't good to me, man. It really isn't. And this shouldn't be the conversation we have on the eve of the first day of spring. It should be optimistic, and that's probably why this is the most let down I've ever been as a Yankee fan. Just with the fact that we've just made a World Series, and the narrative is changing before our eyes, and it kind of just frustrates me. The Yankees should not be in this position to be multiple positions short going into the first day of spring. First day of spring, you should have a reset. There should be optimism. Dude, I was actually planning on going to Tampa. I really wanted to go to Tampa this year. I was really excited. And I just feel let down, so I'm not going to do it. So I really feel that the Yankees have kind of let some of their fans down. Now, I know a lot of fans are going to be excited, and rightfully so. I'm not going to tell fans how to fan. Some fans will be more optimistic. Some fans will be more annoyed. But, yeah, for me, I still hold the Yankees in the highest esteem in terms of, we're an elite organization. So just be elite. Stop settling for being very good. Try and be elite. At least the Dodgers try to be elite. The Mets try to be elite. Why can't the Yankees just act like an elite organization, which they are and should be? I guess that's my mindset.
Yeah, one thing I want to bring up, I want to get into the discussion before we sign off, and his name came up a moment ago with Dominguez. I think here's what I'm hoping does not happen with this whole situation with the roster. Let's not up our expectations on Dominguez, please. He is not going to come out and just go and replace all the home runs that we're missing in the lineup. He cannot do it himself. He is a rookie. He is still under that category. He's got maybe 3 series in his career that he's played. So anybody that's like, let's not put the extra pressure on Dominguez. Let him develop at his own pace, right? But just like we said earlier, there's no reason to bring Spencer Jones up this quick. We don't need to rush him. This is the problem that the Yankees force the fans to fight over. Is their shortcomings force us to put unnecessary expectations on players. Dominguez is going to be fine. He's going to put up some offensive numbers. If you watch, Rob and I's show, we did the outfield projections. Dominguez is going to put together one hell of a season.
I think he will.
But he is not going to be that player. He's not going to be that rookie to save the team. He's not going to put a rookie season together like Judge. Those don't happen every season. So, but he's going to be a respectable rookie and should be in contention for Rookie of the Year if he has the season that Zips is projecting. But to think that he's just going to single-handedly carry the offense with Judge, let's not put that on him just yet.
Is it possible he can? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
But, anything's possible. And I said this the other day on Twitter. Is it possible that Cabrera and Peraza make a good platoon at third? Yeah. Is it possible that Ben Rice or Everson Pereira can supply some pop in Stanton's absence? Yeah. The thing is, the Yankees shouldn't be relying on these things. That's the problem. So now you're putting, no matter how you want to spin it, you're putting more pressure on Dominguez because you didn't get another bat. Now Dominguez has to be better. You can't deal with like maybe a month-long streak of him being bad like Volpe had and Wells had last year. You can't afford that at this point if Stanton misses time. All of these conversations we're having today are big ifs because Stanton might be ready. He probably won't, but he might be. But now you're putting more pressure on him. You're putting more pressure on Wells. You're putting more pressure on Volpe, on Goldschmidt, on Judge. You're putting more pressure on Judge because he's the guy. If they don't pitch to Aaron Judge, we're not going to score that many runs. Same thing happened 2 years ago. Same thing happened in 2022. If you don't pitch the Judge, you're good. It happened last year when they didn't pitch the Judge or Soto and they took their chances with everybody else. So now you got to put more pressure on.
With Stanton out.
Yeah, with Stanton out, why are you going to pitch to Aaron Judge? Unless Bellinger's in front of him and Goldschmidt behind him are both hitting the crap out of the ball, or Jazz behind him, then they're going to pitch to Judge. But if those guys are kind of like middle of the pack, just having solid years, they're going to pitch around Judge again, and you're not going to see 58 home runs. You're going to see lower power. You're still going to get on base a ton, but you're not going to have Aaron Judge be able to carry a lineup the way he usually does. So yeah, Dominguez should be treated with patience, but because of this news and because of the Yankees' lack of backup plans in case things like this happen, and a lack of the Yankees being the Yankees and doing what they said they can do and getting anybody they want, now you put more pressure on the kid without us saying it. It's basically there. It's written. He has to be better now. He kind of has to be more like the 8 games we saw in 23. And if he's anything like what we saw last year with the bat, well, it's going to make it a 6-man lineup essentially. Maybe even a 5-man lineup.
But if there's something to be positive about, I liked Boone having Dominguez's locker in between Bellinger and Aaron Judge. I think that's really good. So they're going to be helping, sitting in between those two masters of the outfield, will be helping him develop faster. So I think that's good. I also like the fact that Dominguez turned up like a month early and really gave himself a real drill on left field, which is exactly what I wanted the Yankees to do. So if there's something to be positive about, I think that the way that they've handled Dominguez this offseason seems to be pretty spot on so far. And I do, even though I have very modest expectations and probably more negative overall outlook on the way our offense is going to be this year, I think Dominguez is going to exceed our expectations. I think Dominguez is going to have a very good year, and I think that there's a good chance that he's maybe second or third in the Rookie of the Year conversation this year. So I do genuinely feel that. I think he's going to be very, very good. So I think that's one positive. Now, I want to circle back to Big G, right? I think what's going to happen is G's going to sit out March, and then, a couple of weeks into April. I think you're probably going to see him miss about the first month of the season, right? Now, what was actually the month that carried the Yankees when they went in that massive slump in the second half of the year? It was April. The Yankees did such a great job in March and April and May that they actually could afford that massive slump that they had in the summer, right? Now, I know they don't take April considerably that seriously, but all those games count. It's not like April doesn't count to the overall
last year.
standing. Exactly, because it carried us when we went on that massive, massive summer slump, which the Yankees do annually, by the way. So, again, that's why they should have a bat in place, because they're going to need Stanton. If you want to rack up some wins in April, they really need another bat in there, man. They can't just hope for the best and just say, Stanton will be back in April, May. Well, they're not guaranteed, And also, Aaron Judge did slump in April, but then he went all world in June, July, and then obviously won the MVP. But I mean, he slumped to start the year, and it was Soto that carried the Yankees in the first couple of weeks of the season, the first month or two of the season. Actually,
Volpe too.
So, who's going to be stepping up in that case? I mean, I know we've penciled in Aaron Judge for a solid 50 home run season, but when he goes in a slump for a couple of weeks, I don't trust the rest of this lineup to do anything and to make up for it. So there are some real concerns here. I'm shocked that the Yankees aren't more concerned about it. I really am.
Right. No, you're right. And that's the thing that I don't want to sound too negative. I know I've been pretty negative this whole show because I'm still very excited for this season. I still think the Yankees are going to be really good. It's just this front office is making me feel worse by the minute almost. It's like I was very optimistic even when we lost Soto, I was surprisingly calm. Donald will tell you. I mean, before we went live that night, Donald, I was like, Dad, I'm not really sweating it that much. Like, I don't know why I wasn't sweating it that much. Maybe I should have been, but
I lost my shit, bro.
You absolutely
I tore
did.
up my Soto jersey on air.
And the thing is, but even throughout the offseason, I was like, okay, they're doing the right things, and it's just that one extra move they didn't make, and I keep going back to it. Had they made one more move, got one more bat, Bregman, Arenado, even DeJong at this point would have been a better choice, and they didn't do it, and they said we can't do it, and that's the thing that bugs me is, yes, you can do it. You absolutely can do it, and they're just like, no, we don't want to. It's like with when the Yankees said we can get anybody they want, it's like if you have a crush or something at school or the gym or work, which don't do, by the way, and you say, next time I see her, I'm going to go talk to her. All right, go talk to her. She looks busy. That's what the Yankees are doing. The Yankees are just like, we can get anybody we want. All right, go get Nolan Arenado. He looks busy in camp. Go get Alex Bregman. He's enjoying his offseason. It's like, why are you stopping short? It's like you're at the 5-yard line. You can't get that extra 5. They're the New York Giants. You get into the red zone, you kick a field goal. That's basically what they're doing, and I hate it. you were one move away from this being an A-plus offseason after you lost Juan Soto, and they were just like, they said, let's not cross the finish line. You could have went into camp with a pretty finished
The
roster.
Yankees are like the Giants when they knelt down in the second down and 10. They knelt down for a punt. That's what the Yankees are doing.
They go backwards, and that's what I don't like. It's like you were one move away from, and I wouldn't have been sweating the Stanton injury too much. I'd be like, all right, just let him be healthy because we need him for the middle of the season in October. And it's just like they didn't feel like doing it. So yeah, I'm still very excited, Max. I'm very, very happy that baseball is back. I got the hat.
He's very excited.
That I didn't want to get the hat. I got the hoodie. I'm ready to go. But it's just like, man, I'm feeling let down as a fan by this front office because you just lost the World Series and you should have been, and you lost your best or second best player, however you want to look at it, to your crosstown rival. You should have been like, let's go punch everybody in the mouth and get back there and go win this fucking thing. And I know the players feel that way, but it's like the front office is kind of like, we're going to do that to a degree, but we're going to punch for the first 6 rounds of the fight. When we get to the 7th round, we're going to stop punching and get punched back. And now the league's kind of punching you back because your biggest rival in your division just got a really big bat, although they're having some problems because they don't know who's playing where. But Baltimore is always a threat. Tampa, you can never take lightly. And Toronto still got some big boppers out there.
Yeah,
these teams are starting to punch back.
The Yankees take the East. And now, in fact, it's a battle for the East now. Because I think Boston are legit. They've got the manager. Now they've got the offense. Pitching's better. I think Boston are legit. So, you know what? It's going to be a heck of a battle for that division now, where it wasn't back in December, early January. But that's why the Yankees felt they wanted December, but they've lost January and they're losing February badly. So it's not great. So I need to gain the enthusiasm. So I'm waiting for the Yankees to give me the enthusiasm because they haven't earned it yet. So if spring looks fun and I see some prospects that really take off and things like that, and I like what I see, then maybe I'll change my tune. I want to change my tune. I really do. I want to feel excited because it's going to be very hard to do shows like fucking 5 times a week if the Yankees suck this year. So we want the Yankees to be good. Trust me.
Yeah, well, good, better, and different. This channel will always be here to help you guys get through it. But no, it's going to be interesting to see how it all goes because there is still a lot of optimism around this team, but it's not at the cost of ignoring some of the shortcomings that we still have. So we'll see how the mood changes as we see games being played. We have the first spring training game at 1:00 on Friday. It'll be on the Yes Network. When we're doing our show, will we have the lineups? Will they put them out early in the morning for us to go over? That would always be fun. And so we'll see how. Look, let's see how the players that we do have and are healthy. Let's see how they're performing, and then we'll be able to kind of maybe gain some more optimism for the new players that we're going to have. Bellinger, Goldschmidt. Let's see how Jazz is adjusting back to third, to second base. Who's playing. How's Dominguez going to look in left? Let's focus on what we can actually watch on the field.
And before we go, guys, I want to ask you guys a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think about the Bregman move in Boston? Where's he going to play? And what does that mean for Devers? And do you think that it was a great contract or a bad one for Bregman?
I was shocked by the $40 million, even though it's deferred. I think that they should have probably went to Devers. This is why I don't like when people get too they're like, oh, Judge controls everything. Like they paid Devers last year as the face of their franchise to build around Devers. They probably should have approached him and been like, hey, we're gonna go get Bregman, but what do you think about that? Or would you be willing to change positions? Instead, they're asking him in camp, and he's just like, no, I'm a third baseman. Now you're kind of creating problems that probably shouldn't have been there if you had just addressed this before. But I think they're going to put him at second because Alex Cora already said he sees him as a second baseman. So I think it's a great move for Boston because he fits like a glove there. That dude pulls everything he hits, and the Green Monster, even as high as it is, a lot of freaking fly balls clear that damn thing out there in Fenway. So he should be an absolute perfect fit. And if they can have him play second, they got nothing to worry about because they needed a second baseman. Now you got Bregman and Devers and Casas, who's not getting traded to the Yankees, by the way. And you got all these speedsters in that lineup. That's a dangerous team. If they get this whole situation with Devers and Bregman and Cora himself figured out, which I think they will because Cora is a professional, they get this figured out, they're dangerous. And I don't like that he went there. That's why I was hoping the Yankees swooped in, and they never did.
I love that move for Boston. I think he's tailor-made for Fenway. I actually don't think it's that bad a contract because really what it is just like high AAV, but low years.
Yeah.
So there's really not much risk attached. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, that's the kind of shit the Yankees should be jumping all over is the high AAV, low years. Because then there's not really much risk attached. If it doesn't go well, then you can opt out after a year or two. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the kind of stuff that I was kind of hoping that they would have jumped in for either a Bregman or a Pete Alonso. Just something high AAV, low years, not much risk, but someone that can really give you that boost to the team that badly needs it. You know, badly needs an injection of positivity for the fan base. Who earns it? No one is more committed to their team than Yankee fans. They really are. Yankee fans are incredibly committed. Even more so than Boston. Boston are very committed to their Sox, but I'll tell you what, I think Yankee fans are even more passionate, and I think the Yankees have let them down this year with passing on so many great names that really would have given this team, this fan base, something to be excited about. Very disappointed for us as fan base.
Yeah, no, it's what's going on, Nathan. Make sure you check out Nathan's channel and all his site and all the interviews that he does. He does phenomenal work. Also, we our friend Max, check out Max Coverage's channel as well. He puts together some really great live streams. We'll let the team up.
Don't count on it, Nathan. Don't count on it, bro.
I think he's a Red Sox next year.
Or he's a Met. The Red Sox to the Mets.
Do you know? I mean,
I'd do backflips if we got Vladimir. I can't do a backflip, but I would try to do a backflip if we got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I just don't think we're gonna get him now.
Yeah, maybe a cartwheel.
Yeah, especially if Alonso opts out and Bregman opts out. Both of those teams have the opening now for Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Yankees, who have a budget, probably won't be able to afford what he's going to be asking for. I think it's Murakami for the Yankees, Murakami or Tucker. But I don't see where Tucker plays, especially if you got Dominguez and Bellinger opts in. Do they put Bellinger at first? There's so many things they can do, but I think Murakami's the guy they want because Cashman did say the other day they got to try to get better at the Japanese market. I think they're going to go really hard for Murakami.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Yankees have never prioritized the corner infield spots, and it's been a long time, man. The Yankees haven't had a proper first baseman since Tejera. So, like, long-term, like, this is our guy. Even at third, they haven't had a long-term, this is our guy. Since A-Rod even. So the Yankees haven't prioritized the corner infield. So that would be a massive change in philosophy. Then going into free agency and actually spending serious money on offense, they haven't done. So that would change. That would need a massive radical change from Hal Steinbrenner that I don't see happening. But I want to be surprised. But I think Yankee fans need to lower their expectations now. I think Hal Steinbrenner has made it very, very clear regarding his budget and how he wants things. So Murakami makes more sense, and maybe get Tucker in, and that would be amazing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just reading how the Yankees prioritize payroll. They don't prioritize the corner infield. Just look at third base. It's empty right now.
It's been empty for 2 years.
Right.
3, actually. But yeah, here we are. Still, it's February 19th, and we're still talking about third base. And you see how they're highlighting DJ before we wrap up? They're showing DJ's batting practice, and I think it was Kirshner. They're like, he's hitting some line drives. I'm like, those are ground outs. Like, come on, man. Even he was like,
single for DJ.
yeah, even he and he put the video up and he goes, that may have been a single, and then he goes under it. He goes, depending on where the second baseman is placed. Like, that's a double play. Come on. Even in batting practice, he's grounding into double plays. This is really what we're going through. Come on, man.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Enough is enough. Can we get a third baseman, please?
Like we said earlier, with his, when he was talking to the media, even he looks defeated already. He's not even coming in with a high expectation of confidence. So how are we supposed to feel about it? Come on, they have no clue. They are really clueless over there with this guy. Look, and I hate throwing shade at DJ. It's another one. Injuries shortened his career tremendously. And it sucks because he's under that contract. If he was healthy, the contract looks good, but he's not healthy anymore. He's not effective. And I don't want him to go into that category of, the worst contracts that we ever gave out. I don't want him in the Pavano discussion. I want to get him away. I don't want him into that part of the room. Just keep him on the bench. Let him contribute where he can, when he can. Don't shove him down our throats because he deserves better than that. And so I'll leave that at that. We'll see where things go with the opening lineups for the first spring training game Friday at 1:00. And we will have our morning show to break down our expectations of the players as we've been doing. We will continue that discussion. So that being said, make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out. Your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. This is the Pitch Right Chronicles, and we want to hope everybody has a great day. We will see you Friday morning and wear those pinstripes of pride.
Like and sub, people! Like and sub!
And play hard.